Hello, my YouTube friends. Thanks for joining in tonight. You've reached the Audio Master channel. And first of all, if you haven't hit that subscribe button right down there, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell because we got a lot of really cool things going on. And first of all, each month we're giving out a Shure microphone. If all you have to do to enter the contest is just click down there below and say a few things why you like Shure microphones, and that will enter you in the contest along with ringing the bell and subscribing to my channel. But thanks for joining in today, man. I had a really good weekend. I went down to the beach and kind of worn out, but had a really good time. And as I was down there, I was thinking of many different reasons as to how to get a good mix and what are some really good recording mixing tips for you guys who are just starting out and would like to actually put together a recording studio. And I was thinking about all the gear, and I was thinking about the nice microphones, the $3,000 mics and the $2,000 mics and the nice pre's and all that. And all that is essential in getting a good recording. But mixing tips, I got to thinking about that, and I was thinking, man, how many times I've been in a bad room mixing and just never ended up getting my mix right because I was in a bad room. And there are a lot of factors that go into play when, I know when you first, it seems like a lot of people get out there and they think if they just deaden the room completely, then they're going to have a good mixing room. And that is probably the worst thing to do, is to actually put carpet on your walls, on all four walls, and make it a dead sounding room. That is the worst thing you want to do for mixing. But there's a difference between a tracking room and a soundproof room and a mixing room. They're all different, and they all play a large role on how you're going to get your sound going to tape or to DAT or whatever you're printing on. And so mixing is it's imperative that you have the right type of material on the walls so that you can actually hear what your speakers are actually producing without a bunch of reflections from the walls. And the worst room that you can mix in is probably a room that's equal size and length and distance, say a 12 by 12 room or 11 by 11 room or a 10 by 10, or even worse than that, a really, really small room like a closet or something that you're having to get in and mix in is the worst room to mix in. The best rooms that you can mix in are more elongated, say maybe 10 by 15 or something like that. I know that isn't a normal room that comes in a house, but if you can extend a room or make a room that's more elongated, you're going to have better mixes because of the reflections in that room. What also is very imperative in that room is the right type of material. Now, what I have is Auralex. This is what I actually have on my walls right here. And they're really, really nice. You can put these up in your room. And also bass traps to stop reflections from jumping around from side to side and tricking your ear in what you're actually hearing coming out of your monitors in your room. So it's very imperative that you do have bass traps, and the right placement of your material is highly crucial as well. You want your bass traps up in the corners of the rooms, in each corner of the room. And then you want your material like this, just your regular Auralex material, around the sides of the room. And I'm going to put a little link down there below where you can click on this and get you some of this stuff before you start out, because it is the most important thing you need to do before you go spend a whole bunch of money on equipment and everything, thinking you're going to get great mixes. Man, it's imperative. It's super important that you get your room acoustically treated right before you start mixing. And you'll spend countless hours going back and forth and never having your bass right or anything else right for that matters. And it's really, really frustrating when you're hearing one thing and then you burn it on CD and you take it out to your truck or your car and it don't sound anything like what you just mixed in the room. So these are some professional mixing tips that I want to let you guys in on before you even get started in recording, uh, doing tracks and whatnot. It'll save you tons of time. Just go ahead and bite the bullet, man. Get you some of this stuff. It works, and it's really, really easy to install. And when you get it, they'll pretty much have where you need to place it on the walls. I mean, I can tell you where you want to place this is pretty much just around at whatever level your monitors are in the room. You want to go around the room with this stuff right here. And they've got bigger panels that you can actually place up, but typically that's what you want to do. And then after that, the next thing are probably your monitors, what you're actually hearing and you're mixing through is very important as well. Having a good set of monitors. And I like three. I like two sets. You can see back here, I have a nice set of Atoms and I have a nice set of PreSonus. And then I go back and forth on those two. And then I'm constantly going back to my headphones here. So I like having three sets of speakers to actually do my mixing through. And then after a while and some time, you get to know your room, you get to know your speakers, you get to know how they sound. And so this saves you a lot of time whenever you're actually doing your mix and you're not having to run back and forth and correct your bass, whether you have too much bass in the mix or it seemed like when I first started out, that was my big problem is, man, I just had way too much bass. The tracks were real bass heavy and the top end was kind of dull and didn't have enough shimmer and shine to it. And all those mistakes were pretty much mistakes made by the room that I was mixing in and wasn't sufficient enough to actually hear what was coming out of my monitors. And so to let you in on this will save you a lot of time. Just go ahead and treat your room right. Get your room a good sounding room to mix in before you even start wasting your time, or you'll just spend a lot of time wasting your time. But man, it's such a good day today to be out and along the beach. I was thinking, man, what can I talk about that people will really, really benefit from, and not just going out and buying equipment. And I know that plays a large role on the scale, and so does wisdom and mistakes. So that goes a long ways whenever you're mixing. It's just experience, And what I can honestly say is, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't get set on one aspect of how you want. Get used to the same thing. In other words, it's good to experiment with different things. The second best thing that I could probably say after you have a nice room to mix in and it's treated right and you have good monitors and whatnot is the equipment. Your preamps and your microphones also plays a large role in the scale on how your overall sound is going to be. And, everything from the instant guitars and everything has to be really nice stuff, or it's not gonna perform for you, and you want everything to perform at its best, But mixing tips, I would have to say the second or third thing to get fond of and to get to know is to actually mix with pink noise. And this is just basically to get your levels right. You can spend a lot of time on mixing, on just trying to get all the levels right on the mix, as far as something being too loud or whatnot. Now, if it's something that you actually want to poke out in the mix to be some ear candy and whatnot, that's something different. But what I'm talking about is just getting everything pretty much balanced across the mix to where you can hear everything without compressors, without a bunch of EQ, just proper microphones, proper instruments that has its own frequency that's poking out through the mix. And to get that balance first before you start to add anything to that. A lot of times people will get in the studio, man, they start adding compressors and all these things on each track, thinking they're going to make it sound better, when really they just need to get it nice and balanced first. Because if they can get everything balanced first, then everything's going to want to poke its head out and be heard. And so then it's pretty much just shaping it and compressing it and gluing the tracks together that gives you that radio sound mix that a lot of people get frustrated with, and thinking if they've got all the big boy toys, then they can get some professional mixes. But really, it starts with a good using your ears. That's probably the best thing to do after you set everything in pink noise, and you want that little mountain going down like that. Once you achieve that, then you know everything's pretty much balanced, and then you can start gluing things together, adding EQ on certain instruments that you want to shine and have that shimmer and whatnot. Um, but these are some professional tips that go a long, long ways. And if you can get these things in the early stages of your production, it'll save you and many other people a lot of time and a lot of headache from having to fix things later on. And sometimes they're tracked so bad if you track things that it's really hard to fix in the mix. And so, um, and then another thing I would say is mastering. After you get a good mix, it's very imperative that you leave enough room, enough headroom on the mix so that you can have it mastered properly. A lot of people want everything really, really, really loud with hardly any dynamics at all, and everything's just smashing zero. And there isn't enough room for the mastering engineer to go back and to bring things up where they need to be brought up, and to curve things out and chisel things out in the mix and whatnot. Typically, a good mix, he won't have to do that. All he'll have to do is just add a little flavor to it and run your stuff through his manly equipment and professional mastering equipment, just to add color and flavor to the sound, and to actually bring it up to 0 dB or right underneath it, 1 dB underneath that. Typically, you want it right at 0 dB. But if you leave enough dynamics in the mix to begin with for the mastering engineer, he can do all that and get your mix to sound radio ready. And so that's another thing. A lot of people make mistakes is they slam the meters on everything, get everything around zero, and then pretty much leave no headroom for the mastering engineer to come back and say, okay, here I am, and I want to make it sound radio ready. And so if you leave him no room, then it's really going to be a hard time to get that sound that you want. So that's another good thing to remember. And also, I just want to say, for all you guys out there that are wanting to be recording engineers, or maybe you're just a musician like me and you didn't have the time to travel to California and go to the big studios and whatnot when you were younger. I would say just get you a good sounding room first. Treat it right. Get you some of this Auralex, man. It's some really, really good stuff. It'll last forever. And also, here's another tip for you guys that once you get this stuff, maybe you're in an apartment or something like that, and you don't know how long you're going to be in that apartment. I highly suggest cut you some wooden, maybe one by 4 panels out of wood, and then glue this Auralex to those wooden panels, and then screw the wooden panels into the sheetrock. That way, when you're ready to go, the panels come off as one, and this Auralex with the glue on the back doesn't rip the sheetrock off when you leave, and you have a bunch of problems with the landlord and whatnot. So anyway, that goes a long ways too, man, because a lot of people are in apartments and they want to do their mixes and record in apartments. And so get you some of this stuff, put it on some wooden panels, screw it in the wall. If you have to go to unscrew it and you're gone, man, it's all good from there. But I just want to say thanks for joining in tonight, man. Those are some professional tips that goes a long ways, and every big time studio engineer knows these things. And a lot of these things they won't let you in on the secrets because that's how they make their money, man. So maybe some of this stuff will be beneficial for you guys, and you can use some of these techniques in your recording studio and get much success out of that. So thanks for joining in tonight. Again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and write down there why you like Shure microphones to enter you in the contest to win Shure microphones. And we will see you tomorrow.